Well, greetings everybody. This is really bad for the algorithm, but I'm shooting a live video for you all because this news just dropped right now and it is friggin' huge. Disney Sony standoff ends. Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige's involvement in Spider-Man. Spider-Man no more at the MCU. It is done, kaput. And we were afraid this was going to happen with frickin' Tom Rothman involved. This guy is the scourge of Hollywood, a complete moron. And, well, he doesn't want to work with Marvel anymore because they had a decent, successful Venom film and Into the Spider-Verse. So now, all of a sudden, they can create their own cinematic universe. And this will lead to Sony's fall because we're going to still have Avi Arad and Tom Rothman involved, and these people just don't know how to make superhero films. Now, Avi Arad used to be able to make them, but not anymore. So, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige won't produce any further Spider-Man films because of an inability by Disney and Sony Pictures to reach new terms that would have given the former and co-financing stake co-financing stake going forward. A dispute that has taken place over the past few months at the top of Disney and Sony has essentially nixed Feige and the future involvement of Marvel from the Spider-Man universe, sources said. This comes at a moment when the last two films Kevin Feige produced broke all-time records. Well, did they? Go check out the video I just dropped. Are we sure about that? Disney's Avengers Endgame became the highest grossing film of all time, and Spider-Man Far From Home this week surpassed the James Bond film Skyfall to become the all-time highest grossing film for Sony Pictures. And this probably had a lot to do with it. Sony's all, why can't we just keep all this money? Well, you're not going to make all that money because you don't have Kevin Feige. Not that he's doing great things at Marvel right now. Oh boy. Sources said that there are two more Spider-Man films in the work that are meant to have director John Watts and Tom Holland front and center. Unless something dramatic happens, Feige won't be the lead creative producer on those pictures. There is a lot of webbing here, but it all comes down to money, and it's easy to understand why both sides refuse to give ground. Disney asked that future Spider-Man films be 50-50 co-financing arrangement between the studios, and there were discussions that this might extend the other films in the Spider-Man universe to the other films in the Spider-Man universe. Sony turned that offer down flat, and I don't believe that they even came back to the table to figure out a compromise. Led by Tom Rothman and Tony Viscaria, Sony just simply didn't want to share its biggest franchise. Sony proposed keeping the arrangement going under the current terms, where Marvel receives in the range of 5% of first dollar gross. Sources said Disney refused. Now, it's easy to say Feige has enough on his plate, especially after taking control of the X-Men universe. They're not going to call it X-Men anymore. It's going to be X-People or X-Persons or Mutants in the Fox acquisition, including the Deadpool franchise, along with architecting the next phase of the Marvel superhero universe and building movies and shows for Disney. But I'm told Feige loves Spider-Man, arguably the biggest superhero character in the Marvel canon. Arguably, he is the biggest superhero in Marvel canon. And you know what this is going to do to the comics now, right? You know they're going to disappear Spider-Man like they disappeared the X-Men for a while. And this is why we shouldn't have sold our soul to Disney. This is why this whole thing sucks. They've killed Marvel Comics and the MCU without Spider-Man. He would have continued if Disney and Sony could have reached new deals and terms. Essentially, Sony has made a decision that is similar to saying, thank you, but we think we can win the championship without Michael Jordan. Great point. After all, Feige's first decade at Marvel is largely unblemished, and his consistency has been nothing short of historic. Even George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Peter Jackson haven't seen anything turn into a hit. So maybe only James Cameron hasn't seen everything turn into a hit. So maybe only James Cameron has the success record that Feige has achieved. And I would say no, he doesn't. But Feige has done it all in 10 years, producing and overseeing 23 superheroes with not a flop in the bunch. Well, They've all been #1 openers and have collectively grossed $26.8 billion. Well, considering recent news of the video I just dropped, please watch it. Probably, but I don't know. Feige this year became the producer of the top grossing film ever for 2 studios, Sony and Disney, and he produced 3 of the top highest grossing films this year in Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man Far From Home. This after scoring the first ever Best Picture Oscar nomination for a superhero film last year with Black Panther. I can't think of a Hollywood producer / executive who has done anything close to this. And the launch of the new iteration of Spider-Man was done brilliantly with Marvel's support and help. It has been a boon to both studios. Tom Holland's character was introduced in the Joe and Anthony Russo directed 2016 blockbuster Captain America Civil War, the film that set up the 2 record-breaking Avengers films. Sony's first reboot Spider-Man film, 2017 Spider-Man Homecoming, rode that Marvel wave and grossed $880 million worldwide, and then the web slinger was a key character in the 2 Avengers films, leading to a Spider-Man sequel. This week became Sony's top grossing film ever. Sources said Disney's top brass for the past several months has sought new terms for Feige and the Marvel cross-pollination to continue. As the Spider-Man relationship grew, Feige and Sony Pictures chief Tom Rothman spoke about the possibility of a wider involvement in the Sony-controlled Spider-Man universe, which contains 900 characters. I'm told that Feige lent an unofficial hand with the blockbuster Venom. But I've been told that the film was far from the polished product that grossed $856 million worldwide until Rothman himself spent a good long time in the editing room helping to get there. Really? That's news to me. It is understandable that fiscally shrewd Rothman would balk at giving half of Sony's biggest franchise to Marvel. After all, Marvel already owns the merchandising on Spider-Man. Does the mouse really need half of the movie universe also? Sony so far has decided that as valuable as Feige is, Disney is asking too high of a price. So they talk about the Venom sequel being underway, and sources said that Sony reasoned that they will be fine without Feige. The creative template that has been set for the Spider-Man films and Watt and Holland are in place along with Amy Pascal, who became producer with Feige after she exited the executive suite after presiding over the previous Spider-Man films. The reason she exited was the Sony emails, the racist emails, directed by Raimi and Mark Webb. And there you go. So this ends Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige's involvement. Does it end the involvement in the MCU? Probably at this point. Hang on just a second. I've got to get back to my OBS here. And I'm not going to be able to look at any of the chat on this one. Unfortunately, this is basically just going to be a quick video right on top of one I just released, which is really, really bad for the algorithm, but I can't pass this up. I'm going to make a new thumbnail. We will talk about this more on a live stream later. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't talk to you in the chat, but I've got to run. Please like, share, and subscribe. And please let me know how you feel about this in the comments, because it has been pretty quiet here news-wise, except for the Disney thing. But as far as entertainment news, it's been pretty quiet. And this bomb just dropped. So again, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter @Nerdrotics, and have a wonderful day. And may the free folk sing songs of your greatness.